Even Phoenix is cool.
It's up to 35.
It's like, yeah, Phoenix is in the
Wow.
60s. I'm still there right
Yeah,
now.
that's something different for us. It was 64 this morning, then it's supposed to be a high of 63. So we're going down during the day. Temperatures are going down. Feels pretty good.
Wow, yeah, I'm leaving the nice weather and then going to the very, very chilly weather today.
Yeah, we're pretty wimpy down here. We don't know what to do with it. Look for long sleeves.
Okay. Well, we have a quorum? No? Yeah?
Just lose somebody.
We just lost Deb, yeah.
Oh,
And we're also waiting on Chuck.
yeah. Okay. Well, we'll give him, we have 1, 2, 3, so it's not a quorum. Can you add my name to it, please? So it shows that I'm here. Hold on. I can't. I got it.
Okay.
We're on the same screen, so it's just going to show the one. Oh. So we don't have a quorum, so can't start a meeting without a quorum. I would think it would be very easy. Is Chuck okay, or? I can't imagine. And the others would be so, and Elizabeth wasn't going to participate. No, she had someone else. D's for Elizabeth. Is that D is from her? Yeah. That's her boss, right? Yeah. But she can hear us. We're not
Hello,
muted.
I can hear you. Yeah, Elizabeth's on
Yeah.
vacation.
Like, we're not muted, so I let her know. Watch what you say. And Ron wasn't going to be here, and Francisco wasn't going to be here.
Correct.
Right.
Hopefully Deb makes it back on. Her mic was it was cutting in and out when she first joined.
Okay.
There we go.
Allison, I must say I love the pictures of you and your baby on Facebook.
Thank you. It's fun.
So cute. She's so big, and it just, it kind of underscores how long it's been since we've all been together.
No kidding. She's grown a lot.
Did Elizabeth have her baby? Did Elizabeth have her baby?
Yes, she did. She did. She had her baby in, I believe it was July.
Oh, good. Girl or boy?
Little girl.
So 2 girls in our group. Well, we need Chuck or Deb to call in.
I think I might just give Chuck a call real quick.
Okay.
He's having maybe technical issues.
why she's as fancy as all those, you know.
Hi, Deb.
newscasters. Looks like she's on standby or something.
I think her video's frozen.
Yeah, her video's frozen. Deb, can you hear us? All is frozen. Yeah, the background uses a lot of your data.
I lost her again.
Okay, Chuck should be joining us in just a couple minutes. He's going to be calling in.
That's ironic.
And you said Chuck's calling in, right?
Yes, he's working on it right now.
Okay.
John, I'm looking forward to hearing your report on the statewide group. That should be very interesting.
Yes, I'm looking forward to chatting with you as the group. We haven't had an update for quite a while. So yeah, good to be with your group today.
And Deb kind of in.
Yeah.
Deb?
Yeah.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Hello? Yeah, my internet's getting spotty, so I might jump on Prescott Creek's.
Yeah. So we still need one more.
Did we lose Deb? Deb, can you hear us?
I think we lost Deb again.
I think I'm back.
There we go.
I think I'm back.
Can you hear us, Deb?
Sorry, I don't understand why this isn't. Yeah, I can. Yes, I can.
Okay. Do we want to wait for Chuck? Or do we want to get started, or?
He said go ahead and start.
Okay. Well, why don't we call this meeting to order at 10:08, because we have a quorum now. Allison, do you want to do a roll call?
For Madam Chair DeWitt,
Here.
Vice Chair Johnston is absent, but we have Dee Kephart in her place.
Oh.
Did we lose Deb again?
Oh, huh.
Maybe she's just changing it over to the Prescott Creeks, whatever.
Deb, are you back with us?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't understand what's going on here, but I'm going to keep trying. I'll just be in and out until I can get it on the other machine. Sorry.
Back to roll call. Member Bettinger is absent. Member Anaya is absent. Member James is absent. Member Greenberg
Here.
and Member Pastor.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. Do we have any announcements or updates? I'm not hearing any. Okay, so we'll move on to consideration and possible action of the February 24th, 2020 regular meeting minutes of EMAC. If anybody remembers them, so a while ago. So do we have any changes or anything? Or a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the minutes of the, what was the meeting?
February 24th.
February 24th meeting.
And I'll second it. Make it move forward. Do you want to do a roll call vote, Allison? If we can get... Chuck, are you on?
Yes, I'm on. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good.
Okay, we're just voting on the minutes right now.
Okay. Start with
All right.
Madam Chair DeWitt
Yes.
and Member Kephart,
Yes.
Member Bettinger,
Yes.
Member Greenberg,
Yes.
Member Pastor.
Yes.
Okay, 5 in favor, the motion passes.
Okay. Update a state transportation board 5-year program.
Sure. So Chris and I have been keeping an eye on the 5-year plan from the state board. Currently, the 69 widening project is still in the plan, and they will be approving the final 5-year tomorrow morning. So we'll be watching that to see what happens, and that's kind of all the updates I have on that right now.
Okay. Well, at least the 69 is still on, but it's moving forward.
Is there funding for that, or is that what it means to be in the 5-year plan?
So yes, if it's in the plan, they are planning to fund the project.
Okay, because I'm just wondering with all this COVID stuff and the reduction in the economy, if that's still going through.
So yes, the expansion projects they have in right now are going to be most likely the last expansion projects, just due to funding. But what's in there currently is still planned to be constructed.
Okay.
Okay. Update of CYMPO planning studies.
So we have 2 alternative selection reports out right now. They will be wrapping up in the next month or 2. The reason they didn't go to the EMAC is that they're working within current right-of-way. We have a 169 or 69 169 roundabout that Kittleson is working on, and then also 89A Robert Road TI. And then we just got the contract, and we'll be moving forward with adaptive signal timing, and that's a technical study looking at signal timings and throughout Prescott Valley. Allison, is there anything else I missed, or is that it?
I think you covered it.
Okay, thank you. Update of statewide wildlife vehicle mitigation plan. John.
All right, just give me a second here. Good morning, everybody. I know it's been a while since we've chatted, so just a summary of what we've been doing since we brought our consultant on last January. We've really gotten going with reviewing data. Data was the big time-consuming activity on this project. We've been looking at different ADOT crash information system data that details collisions with animals. We've done quite a bit of work to extract from that data wild game, non-game, livestock, domestic animals, and trying to work closely with our traffic safety group here at ADOT to verify and make sure the data is valid. So it's been quite an effort. From that, we've really pretty much locked down the data that we're going to be using to try to come up with our first working paper, which we had expected to have by now, but it won't be out until later in 2020. We're targeting the end of the year. We'll have our working paper 1, which will include a list of proposed mitigation projects. We'll be prioritizing those projects in terms of which ones are the top hotspots in the state. I'm sure you're all interested in State Route 69, and yes, State Route 69 does come up, and it's being verified that that is a hotspot. I don't know where the final rank will be, but it shows up, and I think that confirms that prior reports, prior concerns that you've had on State Route 69. So that is there. We're also confirming other hotspots in the state that are kind of predictable. State Route 260 between Payson and Heber, I-17 south of Flagstaff, I-40 west and east of Flagstaff, State Route 89 going north out of Flagstaff. These are all hotspot areas where there are a lot of large animal collisions, primarily elk and deer. So we're recognizing that. We've also got an effort underway to look at GPS information, animal collaring data. We've got wildlife corridor and linkage zones we're looking at. What you need to remember, what we're learning is that you can't just rely on crash data. There's other information out there, and so we're trying to evaluate that data and make it accounted for in our study, so we're not missing something. For instance, if there's desert tortoise that are being hit on different sections of roadway, that may not show up on a database. So we're tapping into a lot of expertise from different locations, from different sources of information through Arizona Game and Fish Department, for example. And we're looking at that to make sure we account for those kind of critters that aren't really going to show up on other databases. So if at the end of our study we can say that we have issues on certain segments of highways, and we can consider those for mitigation projects as well. So that's where we are right now. We've done a lot of data crunching. We don't have any reports done yet. Like I said, by the end of 2020, we'll have our working paper 1 on our website. You'll be able to review it, to be able to make comments. We just haven't done much. We haven't published much. It's been quite an effort to sort through thousands of crash report data and some individually to find out what type of animal was hit. It might just say, an animal was hit on the database. And we've had to have people open up those individual reports and try to discern what was it, a wild animal or domestic animal. And then from that, we've had to sort the data and make sure we're getting accurate information. So that's kind of where we are with our study. Of course, funding is always a big thing. I think Daniel and Chuck mentioned State Route 69 is still in the 5-year program, and yes, that's right. And it looks like that's scheduled for construction in fiscal year 21 and 22. We'll also be trying to evaluate other sources of funding that might be available to fund some of these wildlife mitigation projects. As always, it's a competitive activity. We're competing for projects statewide. And there's approximately $90 million per year that are available for modernization projects. And wildlife crossing falls under the category of modernization. So we're looking at that as our baseline of 90 million per year. Of that, about 50 million goes into the Highway Safety Improvement Program, the HSIP program, and that's awarded largely based on your benefit to cost ratio, and it's based on crash data with fatalities and serious injuries. So very competitive program. It takes about 50 million a year. Other than that, the districts get about 20 million per year to split among the 7 state districts, leaving about a $20 million balance for the rest of the project. So it's just a quick heads up on the competitive nature of those projects, and we'll certainly be trying to make these as competitive as possible. With that, I think that's just my overview of what's going on with our projects. So if you have any questions or comments, I'm ready for those.
John, it's JD, and I do. What a surprise. First of all, are you on Facebook by any chance? Can you hear me?
No, I don't participate in that. I've kind of gotten away from that.
Well, the only reason I ask is because whenever I come across anything that has to do with wildlife mitigation in other states, I post it on Facebook, and it's like an educational thing. So maybe what I'll need to do is see if I can email it to you or something, because there's a lot that I've posted on Facebook.
Okay.
Now, you said that you have a website that's going to have information that we can see. It would really, really be helpful if we could kind of be tied in as EMAC to your group and kind of see what's going on, so that we could maybe make some suggestions. One of the things that has always been very, very critical, and I know that you said that you're doing, it's hard talking with a mask, that you're doing the breakdown of animals, wildlife, non-wildlife, and domestic animals. And I think that's really good that it all be defined, and that, but one of the other issues that we've run into when we've been looking at different projects is having a standard common terminology with all the different collecting sources, DPS versus game and fish, maybe, I don't know if the Forest Service collects it, but we need to establish a standardized terminology that everyone who's collecting data in the state will be using, so that we will be comparing apples with apples and oranges with oranges. And I know that that's going to maybe be difficult, but I think that that's something that needs to be done before we can really get some meaningful information. The other thing, too, is that you're looking at funding sources, and that was one of the things that hopefully EMAC was going to be able to work on. And it would be very helpful if we could work together on that, so that if there's something that's related to a project in the CYMPO area, that we would be the ones who could help get community support for such funding, and that we work together. It's really critical that we stay in the loop and are able to work with you guys.
Okay, all good comments, JD. Those are appreciated. I know, I think I've sent you in the past our link to our project website, and I'll do that again. I could probably just put it in the chat function here, just so you have it, and you're welcome to have input on the project at any time. On our TAC, our Technical Advisory Committee, Chuck Buttinger is a member, and so I know we've got that connection with the project and EMAC. The TAC also includes our wildlife biologists at ADOT, and we've got DPS, Department of Public Safety. We've got 2 members of Arizona Game and Fish Department, And we've also got ADOT's Research Center and Risk Management and Traffic Safety and Multimodal Planning. So we've got pretty good, we've got a pretty good wide base of experience and knowledge. And I think you know, your suggestion about standardizing terminology is good. Part of the problem is we're working with other agencies and we don't always have the same formats and same platforms and same technology. And so getting to everybody using the same standard terminology is somewhat problematic. I think, you know, you mentioned it would be difficult, and yeah, I think it is, because that's come up with our review of databases. It's like, gosh, one agency used something a little different and they're constrained by their budget and what's approved by their agency director. And to get those to change it's not so simple. It may not happen, you know, as part of our study, but it may be something that in the future would make sense. But you know, it's a good suggestion.
Yeah, we can just show people that it would be to their benefit. The other thing that, as you were speaking, came to mind is that, as you know, we have a list of people who are on our distribution list for the emails regarding any of our EMAC meetings or events. And is there some way that we, as EMAC members, could be on the copy list for some of the information after all of your meetings? That would certainly be one way that we could be kept up to date and would be knowledgeable in terms of giving you feedback or suggestions or.
Yeah.
Well, probably after the first draft is done, we can meet as an EMAC and get it distributed to EMAC, and we can have a meeting about it, because it'll be about the time we'll be ready for another meeting. So that way we can get the link to the paper when it's done, and then we'll have a chance to review it and give comment.
I'd actually like to, if at all possible, get the same kind of email information that we give to community members as after each meeting, as well as that big official paper. One of the things that I talked to you about before, John, is that, you know, I think it's really wonderful that you've done just what EMAC has, you know, intended to do, which was to get all of the players together, the Forest Service, Game and Fish, you know, planning departments. But one of the other things that is the strength of EMAC is that we also have private citizens in the community who are on the committee. And there's some things that we are able to do that when you're part of a state or federal bureaucracy, you're not able to do without getting, you know, approval up the ranks. So I would just say that that's something that, another reason why I think it's so important that we work so closely together, because we may be able to step in and do things that are a little bit outside of the bureaucratic box.
But as a member of EMAC, you can't do that as a representative of EMAC, because we still have to go through our process with the TAC and the CYMPO board, but you can't go out representing the EMAC committee without it being approved by the TAC.
But if you're not representing EMAC, you're just as a concerned citizen in the community, there are things that we can be utilized for that can help the process.
Okay, well, those are all really good suggestions and important points, JD. And I think I would probably go back to what I heard just a few moments ago, is that you'll be able to review and comment on the draft publications as they come out. And, you know, and I think that's when it's ready for review and comment. I don't think that we can kind of weave into our TAC process, sending out to EMAC and then all of their members for review and comment. I don't think the TAC is set up to be that widespread or that diluted. It's got to have, you know, the ability to function and review and approve and discuss things. And I think we just can't expand that base just as part of the TAC meetings. I think you've got your connection with Chuck. He can certainly give you an update, but I think I just probably couldn't commit to sharing project meetings. It just doesn't. I don't think that would work.
Chuck, are you still on?
I'm
Chuck?
on.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just wondering if, since you are our liaison to that committee, is it possible that just you individually could keep us up to date by email? I mean, it's been what, 7 months since we've had an official EMAC meeting, and you've been working all that time. It would have been really helpful to know that things were still in the process of being reviewed. So is that a possibility that you could be sharing more information with us through email?
I could, yes. We had a meeting, about 2 weeks ago, John, which was the first one in several months, and I did not attend that meeting. I had a medical procedure I had to go through, so I was not there then.
That's right, Chuck.
More
Yeah, and Chuck, we do have a meeting this week as well on the 28th. So that's a pretty timely discussion. It might be, something that would provide enough updated information for you to give the EMAC a progress update, as early as this week. So yeah, and I know Chuck had to miss a meeting earlier, and then so we're sorry that that happened, but I think Chuck we can bring him up to speed pretty effectively this week.
I read some of the information that was sent out, and it was mostly stuff on State Route 260, correct?
Yeah, that's got a lot of attention, and which is not a surprise. So yeah, State Route 260 is just one of those segments of state highway that gets a lot of collisions and a lot of attention. And of course, the other areas are kind of predictable as well. Some on I-17 and I-40 up in the Flagstaff area. But again, State Route 69 also in the Prescott Valley area did get attention, and it shows up. So it's not going to be missed.
Hey.
I have 2 questions, John. One, at the end of your talk, you started talking about money per district or something like that.
Yes.
I just caught it at the end of your discussion. And then the other thing is I wanted to know, has the Wildlife Committee looked at what Game and Fish did several years ago, where antelope come up to the right-of-way and turn back? They don't necessarily cross. Is that something we need to start looking at too, in the complexity of our tally for crossings?
Yeah, let me take your first one, Chuck, with the funding question. What I use for modernization budget is $90 million a year, and that's for the entire state for all the modernization projects. And of that $90 million, $50 million is the chunk that goes to the Highway Safety Improvement Program, HSIP, and that's based a lot on benefit cost ratio and fatal and incapacitating injuries. And then another $20 million per year is approximately the amount distributed to the 7 districts. And that leaves about another $20 million for any other modernization project. So those are pretty rough figures, but that's what I've always been told, and that's what I use. So that was that dollar estimate. But I guess the underlying point is it's competitive. It's just there's all sorts of projects. This year we've asked each district to just rank their top 5 modernization projects, and so we can winnow those down to maybe the ones they're going to rank the highest. Unfortunately, that's the way it comes down to, is which ones rank the highest, and they're performance driven, and they'll hopefully get awarded. But it's competitive. Your question about the TAC and the antelope question, That's a really good topic, and maybe we can bring that up in this week's meeting, because we are trying to account for things like that. And that's where the collective knowledge of our TAC is really important, because we do have members such as yourself, Chuck, and we've got Arizona Game and Fish Department. We've got two of their staff that are really knowledgeable about these types of issues, and then we've got our 3 ADOT biologists. So that is something we try to account for, is how do we say, this may not show up on a database, but if the pronghorn are having issues crossing, we need to be able to understand that and evaluate.
Right. Okay.
There you go.
What was that?
I don't know.
Somebody logged on and it echoed.
Getting some feedback. So, but anyway, good points and good feedback. I hope I'm getting some answers for you. And if not, you're certainly welcome to email me. I think in the chat box, I'll put our study website, so people can just be reminded of where that website is, and how to follow the progress of the study.
Are there any other questions for John?
I just want to again thank you, John, for creating the committee, for taking kind of our ideas statewide and getting really important partners in it, and for keeping us informed.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, it's important work. My pleasure.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, thank you. I'll get that website in the chat box, and I'll monitor the chat in case there's any other questions that come up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so we'll go on to discussion and possible action of future CYMPO wildlife corridor planning. Chuck, you asked for this to be on there?
Yes.
Okay.
But since I'm attending by phone, I can't. Do you have what I sent you, the outline of potential corridors in the Yavapai area or the CYMPO area?
No, we were sent that information again. So is that the stuff that was on the February agenda?
Yes.
So, I mean, I guess the question is that, we have the ADOT study going on right now. I think we should wait. I mean, it's been kind of discussed to wait until that's done to see what's going on in the county. What are you hoping to get out of this?
Generally an idea of where antelope migrate and how they can be protected by keeping their habitat available to them, and where those areas cross major highways.
So isn't that what the ADOT study's doing?
Well, sort of, but I think we as EMAC should be doing it for CYMPO and maybe supplying information to the statewide group. I don't think we should lay down and just wait until the statewide group does stuff. I think we need to start looking at where we want wildlife corridors to be, where it best suits the antelope and where it's safer for them to cross, or make places safe for them to cross.
So in order to do anything like that, and Daniel and Allison, you can weigh in too, is that we have to get approval from the TAC and the CYMPO board to do a study. So we can't just do it on our own. We have to actually have approval to use staff time and stuff to do that.
Can I also jump in? And Chuck, do we want to limit it just to pronghorn, because there's some other areas where deer are much more of a concern than the pronghorn. So I would not want to see any study limited just to
Well,
Cromwell.
and the thing is that we don't have any other future projects except for the 69 widening. Chris did mention that the Great Western Corridor study maybe start being revisited next year, and that's something we can be part of and give input on. But without any other projects or studies coming in, we kind of have to wait on a case-by-case, time of when a case study comes in to give input and look at that area. I mean, just kind of going.
I think that's the difficult part of our committee, is that we are dealing with private land or state land, where most of the projects where ADOT has been successful at wildlife corridors has been federal land, like Forest Service, BLM, National Park Service, that kind of stuff. Those things are written into the environmental impact statement. And I think we need to start claiming that for us as well, even though there's all these checkerboarded state lands and all that. We need to have a plan together so we can start talking to these other agencies so we can coordinate how a corridor or a habitat preservation would look.
Well, state land's been they came to a presentation at the City Prescott Council, and they've already said, don't count on state land being used as open space. That's not the highest and best use for areas around the city of Prescott. So we can't count on the state land department until it's getting developed, and you see a project come through that you can designate areas as open space. They are very animate right now that that is not the highest and best use of state land. It is looked at as private property, and we cannot look at it as open space, and don't consider it open space.
Unless we raise the funds to purchase it.
At the highest and best use price.
Right.
Yeah. So that's, and as other projects are coming through, we as staff do look at stuff like that. I mean, as much as we can. It is private property rights. You know, you can ask them to put in corridors and stuff, but we can't always require it, depending on the type of project they're doing. So.
Or we can do leases.
Well, maybe I could write up a
Department's
proposal and submit it to the committee.
Yeah, why don't you put together a proposal, and then we can give input, and then possibly send it to the TAC or the CYMPO board for consideration. Is that the process, Allison and Daniel?
Yes.
Okay.
And in the next CYMPO corridor study will be the Great Western Corridors Plan in FY22.
Okay. I think they talked about wildlife corridors in that as well.
Daniel, may I just ask, because with the State Route 69, we kind of got into it and then realized that we were 5 years too late. Mm-hmm. With the Great Western one, you're saying that it's going to be 2022. If we are to make any impact, we really need to know when we need to start looking at those issues so that we don't wind up with the same internal and community frustration that we have experienced with State Route 69.
Right.
So
the EMAC committee would be included in the Great Western Corridor study to look at wildlife crossings, or at least potential wildlife crossings.
Okay, early enough that we can really make an impact.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
But there is no money, so.
Right, that's the issue that came in with the 69 is there was no additional funds outside of the construction.
Well, and the problem is that by the time that we were ready to go and explore other funding sources, including getting the community people who were interested in it, involved in helping to raise money, we were told we only had months to do it. So, and when you look at grants and allocations from different big trusts, we need at least a year, probably almost 18 months, to be sure that we get things written up and into the process in time for them to make their allocations, because they usually make those allocations on an annual basis. So that's my big concern. And that's also what many people in the community grew so frustrated in, is that there wasn't enough time for us to make a real search for funding, because it is an issue.
Well, this is just looking at the study, the corridor study, I believe, but there's no construction money at this time. So it's just looking at the study again.
Yes, just
So there is
updating to the previous study back in 2010.
Yep, okay.
But there's no money to develop that at this time, so we'll know way in advance before that. It's just to get the study in and get where the potential crossings could be.
Correct.
I see JD's head nodding. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Chuck, do you have anything else about this?
No, I'm just thinking about what JD is saying and how to get the EMAC geared towards addressing this situation even before the corridor study comes out, because we have a situation where we've got all this tangled up land that needs to be untangled if we're ever going to preserve the wildlife that's in this area. And the way I see it is land will be parceled up and built on and in a haphazard manner. Then we're going to have a highway running through that's going to be twisted and contorted and all that kind of stuff. And if we're not going to have a highway that's twisted and contorted through the haphazard development, then we need to have a well-planned corridor with wildlife and how the wildlife and the development can work together, be developed together. And as far as Arizona game and as far as Arizona state land goes, wildlife corridors, the land itself may not be valuable, but the land adjacent to it skyrockets in value. And these are some of the things we need to start addressing and looking at, and not only bringing up funds from the community, but making the community and some of these state agencies aware that land values go up in certain areas because of wildlife corridors and open space. So in my opinion, there's a lot for us to do.
That's why we're being a part of the corridor study, so that we can map out where those possible wildlife corridors are during the study. So as a future and it starts getting developed, we have that study in place.
Yeah, and I did a group in town, Ecosa Institute, did an evaluation of the Great Western Corridor and looked at how to develop it with wildlife crossings, development, golf courses, open space, et cetera, et cetera. And I think we need to start looking at that study that they did. Or the one that I...
When we start looking at this... Well, when we start looking at this corridor study, you can bring it as information we can look at.
When are we going to start the corridor study?
Next year, right, Daniel?
The Great Western Corridor will be FY22.
Okay.
Because I already sent some stuff to us, and maybe that needs to be redistributed to the committee for their evaluation.
Well,
back in February
Chuck,
and April, I think. I think it was April I submitted that.
Chuck, I just wonder how much of that ACOSA study is still viable because there has been so much development since then. I mean, the ideas and the concepts in it are still very good, but the actual land that they considered
may have changed hands already and been developed or planned development.
It may have, but we need to identify that.
So in addition to
We need to get ahead of this stuff. Like
Exactly.
JD's saying, we need to get ahead of it.
Okay. Is there anything else about this that we want to talk about? Because our planned next meeting, because of what's going on and everything, and we canceled so many meetings, that it was discussed doing quarterly meetings. So January 25th would be our next meeting. And then if we need to, if something comes up, we can schedule a special meeting like we did for this meeting. Does anybody have any questions? I mean, agree with that, or any questions about it, or?
I think it is really important that we do, even if we meet like we're meeting today, that we keep in touch with one another, because we don't want to lose what momentum we have. It's obviously really important that we keep up with what's going on with the state committee and just the situation here in Prescott area and Yavapai County.
Okay. So on the agenda, we have the consideration and possible action to approve the 2021 meeting schedule. So we have it as quarterly in January, April, July, and October. And if we need to have a meeting, we can schedule a special meeting as, you know, if we need to. Are there any questions? I mean, does anybody have any questions, or?
Do we need a motion?
Yes.
I'll move that we set up a schedule of having quarterly EMAC meetings.
I sure did it.
Oh.
So approval of the 2021 meeting schedule.
With the option of additional meetings as needed.
Cool. Do we have a second?
I'll second
Yes.
that.
Okay, thank you, Dee. Are there any other questions or discussion about it? So our next meeting, will be January 25th after the holidays. And we'll see what's going on at that time. We'll be in person or via Zoom again. So.
May I also
Take a roll call vote, Tammy?
Yes.
Okay, Madam Chair DeWitt,
Oh, yes.
Member Kephart,
Yes.
Member Bettinger,
Yes.
Member Greenberg,
Yes?
and Member Pastor.
I think we just lost Deb.
Okay. We do have 4 in favor. The motion passes.
What was your comment, G?
Well, I just wanted to bring up something as kind of that I'd like to be in the official minutes, and that's that in August, this community lost someone who had been a major contributor to not only wildlife. He participated in the Great Western Corridor study, but he also served on the Technical Advisory Committee, and that's Richard Straub. And I would just like to recognize the contributions that he has made, not only to CYMPO, but the community at large.
Who did you say, JD?
It was Richard Straub died in August.
Okay, yes.
Okay. Well, nothing else is on the agenda, so I guess we adjourn.
We have to make a motion.
Want to make a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Okay. Okay. We're adjourned.
Thank you all very much.
So much. Dee, thank you for stepping in for Elizabeth, and thank you for allowing her to be on this committee. We appreciate your participation.
Thank you, JD. That's no problem.
Great, thank you.
All right,
Bye-bye.
see you guys later.
Oh, and there's the wildlife. Committee.
Bye.
Yeah, good to see you.
Thanks
I
a
love
lot,
your back-
Daniel.
Sorry, your connection. That's tough.
Here's a.
Happy